So this probably is gonna be a short video. We're gonna talk about Lovecraft's Dagon and other short macabre stories, or other macabre stories. A pretty thin book. This is my second attempt at Lovecraft. I've made a review on The Mountains of Madness. I was not impressed with that book. So I decided, let's give Lovecraft another chance. We've all heard of Dagon and his Cthulhu. So I decided to read this one, um, mainly because it is a collection of short stories. So I thought that, I might find something that I would like, but this is not the case. Now, it, this Lovecraft has a cult following, and it is something that I don't understand because this is yet again the second book by him that I've read, and I just don't get it. If he is your favorite writer, that's fine, no problem. But I just don't get why this guy has such a massive following. Is he so popular because he invented these things? Because I'm a newbie at Lovecraft, so I don't know, right? I'm trying. But I'm gonna base this solely on his writing and on the stories he tells. And this, I just have to say this. I was struggling to maintain my attention and my interest while reading this book. I was zoning out. I was reading entire paragraphs, entire pages, and I was not paying attention. I was just reading to get this over with. Uh, and I think that is mainly because of his writing style. Um, and I'm not a fan of, just classifying everything to a style, but in Lovecraft's case, I mean, his style, or his prose, or whatever you want to call it, it's just stale, it's bland, it's dull, it's a drag, it's a chore, it's sterile. It's barren of personality, right? And I thought at least Dagon, which is the first story in this collection, I thought that at least Dagon would capture my interest, but it didn't. None of the books here really captured me, and that is because of the way he writes. The way he writes is extremely impersonal. It's extremely detached, and it follows pretty much the same exact mold every single time. We have a protagonist, and he's really, really smart, and he may have a friend, and they might do some weird stuff, and psychedelics might be involved, and they usually see some shit which melts their brain, and they all go crazy, and usually the protagonist, our narrator, survives, and his best friend, who dared to fly too close to the sun, either completely loses his mind, or he dies, or is killed, or disappears. That is basically uh, the mold that Lovecraft follows to a T in this collection of short stories. Certain things that might be interesting, but this is what I get from him. He never goes all the way. He never dares to push the envelope. He has a certain idea, right, for the narrative, but he never pushes it to the extremes. Now, I'm a writer myself. I've published 2 books, and when I write, in the back of my head, I always think, okay, how can I exaggerate? How can I aggrandize? How can I excel? And so forth. Go all the way and then even beyond that. Never settle for less. And this, I think that Lovecraft settles every single time for less. He never dares to fully explore an idea. Like um, we have about 10 short stories here, and the penultimate one that kind of caught my attention is called Herbert West Reanimator. We have two friends that are they are at school trying to be doctors, and this one guy, he wants to reanimate corpses, and they work on a serum, and they steal bodies from the cemetery, and it's pretty dark, it's pretty macabre. Lovecraft tells it in such a way that it's so uninteresting that I think that pretty much anybody else could have made these stories better. Like, this is not me trying to brag or anything, but I believe wholeheartedly that I could take these stories, these short stories, and write them in a more interesting way. I could make them better, right? And this is not me trying to brag or shit on Lovecraft. It's just a matter of fact. The man never goes the extra mile. He never wants to push the envelope of his stories. His stories have a main thing, and he settles for it, right? He settles for it, and he never goes in another direction. Again, here is in these short stories, he suffers from the same type of prose, for the same type of narration, the same type of descriptions as in the Mountains of Madness. Way too many descriptions about finding lost worlds and engravings and basel reliefs and marble and all of this stuff. I mean, we got 10 stories here, and like 6 or 7 of them have these descriptions of, of things. And it is repetitive, it is dull, it is boring, and it becomes, unfortunately, it becomes mediocre, right? Again, we have Dagon, the first story that should have been the best. I really don't remember a lot about this one. Then we have Polaris. It's whatever. We have another one called Beyond the Wall of Sleep. Whatever. Um, the Curse in Sarnath. The White Ship. The Cats of Ulthar. The Temple. The Tree. The Other Gods. The Search of Iranon. Hypnosis, right? All of these stories are forgettable. They are forgettable. I simply zoned out, and that is a shame, right? Because I know how hard it is to be a writer. Writing is a struggle, and you do it in the hopes that your readers will love your books. And unfortunately for me, this book has to be a pass. I was really excited for Dagon. I wanted to go balls deep in the Lovecraftian lore, in the mythos, and unfortunately I almost fell asleep. I almost fell asleep, and I can barely remember anything from all of these stories. Bits and pieces here and there. As a whole, this book and these stories are unfortunately forgettable. Forgettable. And I'm gonna give Lovecraft another try. I still have The Call of Cthulhu. I'm gonna read that, and I hope that at least that book won't disappoint, because you know I've already tried 2 books, and uh, he has failed miserably, in my view, to spark something. Right? A writer should spark something in the reader, whatever it is. Right? Uh, so hopefully, The Call of Cthulhu will be better than Dagon, and that's about it. Unfortunately, unfortunately, uh, you cannot overlook all of the defects and all of the disappointing aspects of Lovecraft's writing, because that is the crux of why I feel so detached from his writing. It's bland, it's impersonal, and it follows the the same mold every single time, right? So if you love Lovecraft, and if Lovecraft is your favorite writer, please tell me in the comments why that might be, because I don't get it, right? Thanks for watching.